Welcome back to KSP 101. This is episode 4, picking back up where we left off after around Dres and rendezvous, docking with it, and transferring in the last episode. In today's episode, we are going to be landing at the Easter egg here on Dres. Now, before we continue, I'm going to update the quick save and head to the tracking station for a couple reasons. I'm going to head to the tracking station to get rid of some of the debris, like the debris right beside the station right now, as well as the debris that we accumulated on our way to dock up with the station. But we are also going to be rotating Dres until the Easter egg is on the day side, so we can make our approach and land there. Now that we are here and preparing to land at the Easter egg, can go ahead and talk about it a little bit. No, I'm going to wait until we actually get there. Like, once we physically see the Easter egg, then I'll start talking about it. Alright, so now that we are in the tracking station, wait for it to fully load up. Alright, let's get rid of the debris and then get Dres where it needs to be. Have a good bit of debris to get rid of here. So what I'm going to do real quick to make this a little easier on ourselves, I'm going to close out all of these. That way it's only the debris in the menu. Now we can get rid of it all. Need to recover the 4 from the MUN launch pad, those launch stabilizers. After we recover those, that'll leave 7 pieces of debris to terminate. After which we will put our focus on Dres and then time warp until that Easter egg is on the day side. So let's go ahead and do that now. And we'll rotate to where the day side is beginning. That way we have optimal time usage. There is the Easter egg right there, if I'm not mistaken. I want to be 100% sure, so I'm going to let it rotate around once, keeping an eye out to make sure that's what we want. Yep. Okay, so let's close time warp and re-enable all of these markers except for the unknowns and the sites. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put those back on. Okay, so actually right now the station is right over top of it. It's not entirely where we want that to be, and again it might be, but I am actually going to go ahead and time warp until the station is wrapped around it a little bit more here. Say about there should be okay. So we do have some stuff to do before we get this mission going while we're still in the space around Dres. A little bit more though, we're not going to need that much time. Let's go ahead and time warp ahead just a wee bit more. Say about there, that way we can actually see what we're doing while we're in space. I'm going to go back to that station now, and we'll get this mission started. So, as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, the itinerary is, we need to grab the signs from the space high above Dres, and then we're going to grab some signs in the space near Dres, and then we're going to land, plant a flag, put the breaking ground signs modules out, grab the surface signs, look for any surface features that we can take home, and check out that Easter egg. And then, at that point, we will decide if we need to dock back up at the station, refuel, and then go home, or use the station tank modules to get home, or just go straight home from the surface. But, now that we are back here at the station, let's get this party started. Alright, we are in SAS lock mode, that is good. So we're not going to be bumbling and fumbling around in space. Let's go ahead and rotate until the hatch is in direct light. Make things a little easier to see. There we go. nice and in line where it should be. Now let's begin by getting a crew report with our command pod. We should be in the space high above Dres right now. High over Dres, there we go. We'll take that, and then we need to EVA our scientist Hellwig. So let's get her out of the pod, get a good view of Hellwig. Once we take care of that, we now should have the EVA in orbit. There's our spacewalk accomplishment. So that's done. Let's go ahead and begin by grabbing the crew report to free up some space for the crew report in the space near Dres. When we get to that, we'll grab the data and then take the gravity data. Since we are using a scientist, we can do that. Let's do the same for our temperature reading, and we need to get a barometric pressure reading while we're out here as well. We'll do that next. After we take the temperature data, let's rotate over here, find that barometric pressure reader, and see if we can't control it. We might have to climb up a little bit. Looks like that's going to be enough to get us to be able to log the pressure data and take it. That's good. Don't have to go floating around. Let's take that data and let's get our mystery goo observation. Then we will take that data and reset that canister. There we are, collecting the data and now restoring that science part. That takes care of all the external science except one last thing. We need to grab an EVA report. Let's just find that sweet spot. Get that EVA report now. And then we can hop back into the command pod and prepare to undock from the station. Now that we are back in, let's zoom out, get a better view of things. And we will update the quick save, and this is where we are going to start preparing for our landing as well. Once the quick save has been updated, let us make sure that we are in SAS lock mode so these don't go rotating around once they are apart from one another. Let's undock. Now we need to check the staging as we pull away from the station. Let's swap back to this vessel by holding L1 and hitting right on the D-pad, or the left shoulder bumper and right on the D-pad on the Xbox, of course. Let's go to docking mode, activate the RCS and the SAS, and pull away from the station a wee bit. And while it's doing that, let's go back to staging mode and check our staging. Need to make sure everything is in good order. Which it is looking like it is. Everything seems to be in order, so now that we are moved away from the station a little bit, we can go ahead and point ourselves retrograde. Need to check the engine out, make sure its thrust limiter is back at full. Make sure that that engine is active, which it is. Has 926 meters per second of delta V. Fantastic. It'll be great. The amount that we left on this tank will be great for the landing. Then we can decouple this and let the lander itself take over. Okay, so now we need to set up our trajectory to land at that Easter egg. What you are wanting to look for is the gash here in the surface, or on the surface of Dres. This massive gash. Let's go ahead and start retro burning and pull away from the station. Don't want to go full throttle near the station just yet. Don't really want to have any adverse effects on the station. Once we are far enough away from it, we can start to throttle up, getting further and further from it. We are now deorbiting, so we need to put ourselves in land or surface mode, and let's check our line. We want it to be a little closer to that surface feature than that. Save out here for now. Now we need to point ourselves anti-normal so we can bring that down and in line with our destination there. Goodbye, space station. We may or may not see you again soon. And this should be for suborbital flight. There it is. We knocked that one out. And we should be in the space near Dres once we hit about 30,000 meters or so, I would say. But now that we are locked on to the anti-normal mark relative to the surface, let's go ahead and bring that line down a bit to about, say, there. And then we will time warp over. But first, let's update the quick save one more time and lock ourselves onto the retrograde mark before we time warp. Once that's locked on, we will begin to time warp a little closer to that feature, or the Easter egg. Fairly close now. Let's go ahead and start time warping. We'll do a manual time warp, get a good angle here for the view. Again, we are also trying to make sure to watch for that to hit about 30,000 meters so we can get the science from the space near Dres. You can now see the surface feature a bit as we approach it. So we're pretty close now though. I'm going to kill off some of that surface velocity, bring it down to about 250 meters per second or so. We are getting closer to that 30,000 mark as well. I'm going to go ahead and check and see if it's not higher than 30,000 by checking the crew report. We are in the space high over Dres still, so I'm going to time warp over until we hit about 30,000 meters, and then check it again. Now that we're under 30,000 meters, we should be in the space near it. Oh, we're still high over. Let's time warp until we're at about 25,000 meters then. 25,000 meters. Let's check that crew report again now. We are in the space near Dres. Okay, it is time to get this science real quick. Let's get Hellwig out here. First things first, let's grab that crew report. We're going to speed through this because we have a bit of work ahead of us now in the immediate future. Let's get this temperature data. And then take that temperature data and the gravity data. Climb up a little bit, get the barometric pressure reading, 20,000 meters and counting. Let's grab the mystery goo, 19,200 meters and counting, moving awfully quick. Need to collect that data, reset that canister. Let's make sure that we got that crew report. We did, very good. Now we just need to get the EVA report and then get our booty back inside this vessel and prepare to land. Alright, let's see just where we are. Let's lock ourselves back to prograde, making sure that we stay locked while in surface mode. Let's rotate the vessel. We are going to point the capsule's hatch towards the ground. That way when we land it should be in direct sunlight. We need to find out where the sun is. It's pretty much right above us from the looks of it. Need to be certain because I want the capsule hatch pointing in sunlight. Okay, so we need to rotate it back around this way. There we we go. Alright, now to land this thing. And here we are at the Easter egg, the Dres Canyon. I want to land in a location where we can actually kind of speed through it. It'd be interesting to do. Not sure if we can though. But we will land somewhere where we can get a good view. I'm going to point towards the normal mark and push ourselves over this way a bit more. Actually, I'm going to point radial out. That way we can try to land over here. Let's try to push that out a little more before we hit the ground. Close enough, let's go full throttle. Bring that up just a wee bit. And then go back to retrograde. Once we are close to that spot over here, it looks like a good place to land. We're going to cancel that speed off as quickly as possible. Then we'll detach from this and land. To rotate. But right now looks like a great time to quick save. Let's do that real quick. And then we will begin to cancel that surface velocity. Looks like there may be some stuff to pick up. We'll find out though. Plenty of surface features going on down there. Once it hits about 50 meters per second, we'll back off. Let's take it down to about 40-ish. Yeah, that'll work. Just wait for that to reorient itself. Let's go ahead and deploy that landing gear in advance. I think we'll be okay doing that now. Don't think it'll hurt anything. Alright. Let's kill off a little more speed. Bring it down to about 20 meters per second. And we can go ahead and, well, I'm going to wait a little bit more for optimal fuel usage. Say once that stage, we'll decouple it, once we hit about the 70-degree mark on the nav ball, I'll kill off some more speed and then decouple it very quickly. Somewhere between 70 and 80. We are getting awfully close to the surface now though. I'm going to go ahead and do that at the 70 mark here in just a couple seconds. Go ahead and kill off a lot of that speed real quick and then throttle down and decouple. There we go. Go ahead and throttle up and get away from that stage. That should explode on impact and be out of our way upon landing. Can try to get an EVA report while we're floating down. Let's see about getting Hellwig out. Let's kill some surface velocity to try to do that. Bring that down to about 5 meters per second or so. And then EVA Hellwig. Zoom in super quick. And grab that EVA report. There goes that stage. That's good. Alright, let's get back in here. Okay, so we already have an EVA report from over that biome. Let's lock back on to retrograde and put this to where it's going to lock to radial out when we need it. Just waiting to get a little closer. Killing off the speed as we go down. I'm going to try to land no faster than just a few meters per second due to the gravity. Let's go ahead and start to kill off more of that velocity, throttle up just a hair, and try to control that. And point radial out. And touchdown. Let's cut the engine. Keeping that locked on radial out, we're going to wait for it to stabilize. We can activate the RCS to help out a little bit. activate the brakes to help out a little bit. We'll just let it do its thing until it lands. Maybe another bounce or two. In the meantime, we can check out our accomplishment. We have landed on the surface of Dres. We are stabilizing our landing now. So let's go ahead and deactivate the RCS, deactivate the SAS. Down here. I get a good look at this Easter egg, quote unquote. You can kind of see it clipping through the surface. But, anyways, here's the Easter egg. Let's get rid of the HUD. Dres Canyon. The Grand Canyon of the Kerbal system.